Alright, so let's go over a little bit what's going on here, okay? First off, these are our starting like attractions. We both start with a tiki hut and we start with a beach. Now there are other attractions that we're going to be able to acquire, and they're all located down here. So for instance, let's take a look at the street parade over here in this area here. Now, down at the bottom right-hand corner is the total cost in gold that it requires to be able to obtain this. Over in the left, there's like a little gem that tells you how many victory points that this attraction is going to give you. Now, there's some other things about this that we'll be able to explain as we're playing the game that aren't important to explain at the moment. Now, let's take a look at the center here. These are all of the possible people, the workers that we're going to be able to add to our starting hand. That we start with 13 cards. These are our score trackers that keep track of our flair and also our gold. This is the dock deck, and now that I've showed this to you, I'm actually going to slide it up off camera a bit because it's not important that you see, this isn't important at all, okay? Other than the fact this is how we're going to get either heroes or we're going to get visitors to our site, our amusement park. So I'm going to slide this off now, and the reason I need to do that is because I need to create 2 rows of people here. And then last but not least, we have our monster deck, okay? Now, they go from 1 to 2 to 3, and that depends on how difficult the monsters are going to be. Now, for the sake of time, we have taken out several of the monsters. So there are only 13 monsters in this deck. Typically, there would be 28, I believe. So I'm going to take this deck, and I'm going to set it over, I'll put it up here next to the dock, which will be actually off camera. But we will keep a track of time, because once that deck runs out, the game is actually over. Now, both Carmen and I will start with 2 tourists, or I'm sorry, 2 visitors, and we will put them in our resort spaces on the squares. At the top of each one of these spaces, we've got squares. For instance, let's take a look at the beach, okay? The top of we've got the beach. Now, at the top, it shows 4 different squares, okay? 4 different blocks, okay? The furthest one to the left, we've got like an orange 3, and then down below we have a yellow 0. The orange represents flair, the 0 represents gold. So if I have a tourist that fills that square, then that means I'm going to get 3 flair, 0 gold. However, the more tourists you have, the less flair you get, but the more gold you get. So both of us are going to start at the number 2 space, which will be 2 flair, 1 gold. And then at the tiki hut, it'll be 2 flair, 2 gold. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take all of our 13 cards, we are going to shuffle them together. And then we are going to assign workers at our resort. Down at the bottom of each one of them, if you notice, we have a like little worker pawn meeple little outline. And what that means is that we have to assign people to work at each one of these places. And if we are not able to fill each one of these available spots, then we are going to lose visitors to our site based upon how many workers we are missing. So for instance, the beach, if we have 1 person not working there, we're going to lose one of our visitors. And that's not always a bad thing, oddly enough, because less people is more flair. Flair is the only way you attract more visitors. Flair is the only way you attract heroes. But you need gold to be able to get better cards in your hand. So this is a real balancing act here of a game. Now,
and to get the attractions.
And to get the attractions, you need the gold. Right. And better attractions. The more expensive the attraction, the more victory points. The more flair you have, the better heroes you get. And heroes are worth victory points too. So each of us are going to draw 5 cards. And now we are going to go into what is called Phase 1, and this is the Get to Work phase, where each of us simultaneously are going to start placing our cards and filling in the spots. So for instance, let's take a look. Each of us have, I believe it's 7, 7 of these apprentice cards in our hands, okay? Now if you look at the top of the apprentice card, it's got like the outline of the meeple. Well, that matches the bottom of the attractions. So if I take the apprentice, I can lay him down in front of the beach. There you go. He is now working at the beach and he has filled that slot. I can put now my other 2 over here at the tiki hut. I have all of my spots filled up. So now what we do is we are going to go into Phase 2, which is actually going to be where we are going to, I'm sorry, this is still in Phase 1. We're going to be able to gain our flair and our gold based upon are visitors and which square that they occupy. So, for instance, my beach, like what we went over, I get 2 flair, 1 gold. So I'm going to move this up and move that up. My tiki hut, I get 2 flair and I get 2 gold. So, this is how much flair gold we're going to have at the first round. Now we're going to go into the next phase, which we should have actually already done this. We should have flipped over our 6 cards, and these are going to represent either heroes or they're going to represent tourists who are going to be trying to come into our parks. So I'm actually going to create 2 rows of this, and I'm making sure that this is showing up on the camera just fine, because there is a... Oddly enough, this game takes up a lot of room on the table, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, it's still something that I noticed initially when we first started learning this game, that it was going to be a hard one to film for us. But its purpose of these are just to teach you how to play. It's not necessarily to show you every little minute detail. So, alright. Now what we're going to do is that now that we've got our gold and we've got our flair, everything's set up, we are now going to go into the phase where we can start either drafting to be able to get tourists or visitors into our attractions, or possibly assign heroes to our attractions. So what I'm going to do is I've got 4 flair. So what I'm wanting to do right off the bat is I want to be able to take this priest. Now this priest right here says that he costs 3 flair because it's denoted up in his upper left-hand corner. So I'm going to take that 3 flair, reduce my little flair track here, and I'm going to assign him either to my tiki hut or my beach. And I'm going to put him on the tiki hut. Now one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a red block, and this will represent his health, and I'm going to place it on each one of the little hearts, like that. And then that way it keeps track of his health, because he is there now to defend the tiki hut from monsters that are inevitably going to come and try to eat my visitors. So now that I've performed my one action, it'll go over to Carmen and she'll perform an action. So she can either take one of these visitors, try to get better cards in her hand, or possibly upgrade an attraction. Keep in mind you can have 3 attractions in front of you at any time, and if you ever want to try to get more attractions, you're going to have to put the other attractions on top of previously owned attractions, which means that you're also going to wipe out all the visitors that are in that location.
The street performer.
Okay.
And that's going to lock that pile.
Yes. Now because she has taken that, it actually does lock that pile, which means that nobody else is going to be able to take a street performer. And then that would be her action. For me, I am going to take a lazy peon, and I am going to lock that pile. And the reason that you do that is because eventually somebody's going to pass. Carmen has the Arbor Master ticket in front of her. I'm actually going to take that because I ended up going first. Because whoever is the Arbor Master actually is the start player. But whoever passes first becomes the next Arbor Master. I apologize for not explaining that sooner.
Okay.
So, Carmen, it would go back to you again.
I'm going to spend 2 gold, and my apprentice is going to train to be a herald. Okay, so let's take a look at the apprentice card real quick. If you notice underneath the meeple, below that, we have a bolded train. Well, that is a keyword. Train means that you are going to hire a skilled worker, but you must discard the apprentice to be able to turn him into this skilled worker. All of these gray cards down here are skilled workers, okay? This street performer, the artwork's just not finished, but he'll most likely be a green card as well, just like these. And I'm sure that these are going to have backgrounds like this little squire guy down here. But all of these guys are skilled, so you're training, you're discarding the apprentice, and you're making him into a better worker. But the cool part is that you're actually taking that card and you're putting it in your hand, and you lock that pile. So what did you end up getting? I got the herald.
A herald. A herald is a great card because you can discard it to get 2 flair.
Yes.
And speaking of that, if I wanted to, I could discard 2 of my street performers, but I don't want to get rid of both of them. So I'm just going to get rid of, I'm going to discard a street performer because another keyword at the top of his card says discard, and you can gain 1 flair. So I'm going to gain that 1 flair for discarding him. And then that is a free action. So the next thing I am going to do is I'm going to grab this group here of tourists, and if you notice, they are called foodies, and they have 1, which is listed right underneath that little tourist. Right underneath is 1 tourist that I'm going to gain. However, if I wanted to, and if I had an attraction that had the food like symbol, which is like that fish or meat, whatever that, I don't know if that's a fish or if it's a piece of meat.
It looks like a piece of meat.
Maybe it's a ham. Okay,
yeah.
But that means I can gain 2 bonus visitors to my attraction, but they have to, the only way I can get them is if they can fit onto an attraction that has that exact same symbol, which I do on my tiki hut. It's got the food symbol, so I put those two tourists there, and now I filled that one up completely. And then this card, this tourist card, just goes, it gets discarded, and it goes back to Carmen's
Every time
turn.
we get a foodie card, I think of the foodies as Scooby and Shaggy.
But they did cost me 2 flair to be able to obtain. And then I just discard them, and then they're out of the...
So I'm going to discard both of these, gain 3 flair.
So you discarded your Herald and your Street Performer, which will give you 3 flair, because those are free actions. So she's now got 7 flair, which I think means she's going to get the Warlord. That was a fantastic play on Carmen's part, because the Warlord is not only going to give her a hero, which heroes are worth victory points, but he's got this like downward arrow symbol, if you notice that. And what that means is that it is an instant action you are going to get, and that gives her 3 visitors to any attraction. So she could put 2 on her one and 1 over on the Tiki Hut, and now she also needs to put a little square there for his health, and that is important to keep track of because your heroes can die. Alright, so you are finished with your action. I'm now going to get rid of my Street Performer, and I want to train him into something different. Let me see, I got 3, and let me see, I've got Relaxing and Food. So I think I should get somebody that works in relaxing and food, which is a mixologist. A mixologist has the 2 little symbols. If you notice, he's got at the top, he's got the 1 meeple, which that means that any place you put him to work, he's worth 1 worker. However, if you assign him to a food attraction, well, then he is worth 2 workers. If you assign him to a relaxing attraction, like say the beach, then he is worth 3 workers. So, I am finished up, and Carmen, it will go back to you.
Okay, I forgot to move my flair counter down.
Yeah, I always do that. I always keep track of it in my head.
The reason we want heroes is that if their health is completely full and they get through a round, then you get to score them, and that you get the points.
You get the victory points that are listed on the card. Correct.
Okay, I think I'm done. So I guess I'll take the Harbor
so Carmen passed first, so she'll become the next. That means Arbor Master means you are the first player on the next turn, and I am done as well. Now, I'm wondering, her last card must have been a Lazy Peon, because Lazy Peons are important. So now that we're all finished up, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these locks off of all of these characters so I don't forget. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slide all of these cards down, but we're going to get rid of the card that was first. So we're going to get rid of that one, slide these down again, and now we're going to draw up 4 cards to replace them. Uh-oh, a monster card! Okay, anytime a red card pops up, that means a monster is attacking. So in this case here, this is a simple monster attack card. It's saying that a monster is going to be drawn off of the monster deck, and he is going to attack either Carmen or me, and he is going to attack our center attraction. So
this one.
Here we go! Roar! It is a baby dragon. And the baby dragon is going to attack either Carmen or me, whichever one of us has the most tourists or visitors to our attractions. Now, good for me is the fact that the baby dragon is going to attack Carmen because she is Arbor Master, because that is the tiebreaker. So I've got 7. Carmen has 7. She's Arbor Master. The baby dragon's going to attack her.
Okay.
So he is instantly going to attack her middle hut, which means that she can actually pick either one of those, I guess.
No, it would be the second one, see? So it would have to be the beach.
That's exactly right. Okay. Now, he is going to instantly eat one of your people that are at the beach.
Okay. My problem is my warlord is there.
Well, he will, no matter what, eat your person. So we're going to do that first. So he's going to eat...
I've got the Lazy Peon.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I have to decide if I want to use the Lazy Peon.
Yes, you do, because otherwise he's going to kill your warlord, because we're going to cover that, but he's going to do this in order. So first off, he will eat your person unless you use the Lazy Peon. Are you going to use the Lazy Peon? See, this is why you probably should have taken a second one of those. Okay, so Carmen has used a Lazy Peon card. So let's take a look at him. He says that you get to discard immediately end an attack, then remove this card from the game. So what you've done is you basically fed this person to this baby dragon. I hope you feel good about yourself. So that the baby dragon's like, oh, my belly's all full. I don't need to do nothing more here. And it goes away. But this card now will go away as well, and that saved her a lot of grief. Hopefully, because there could... Well, there we go. We've got another monster attacking. So let's see what happens again. He is definitely going after you again, Carmen. And this time he is going after the exact same place, too.
Yes.
He is going after your... Actually, it still would be your tiki hut, because I'd imagine you're putting your third attraction right here in this spot, correct? Is that right? Because it looks like it's your middle or your end, but you don't have 3, so it would be... I'm looking at it the opposite side.
Yeah, see, it's the beach.
Yes, it would be the beach, I guess. Okay. Okay. So, he is going after your beach again.
Yes.
So the first thing that's going to happen is that he is going to attack your hero. So your hero is unfortunately going to lose 1 life, which kills your hero. So your hero is actually going to go away. He is defeated, unfortunately. But before he was defeated, he did have, if we look at the top of the Warlord's card, over to the little bit to the right, he's got a 4 in this shield. That means he defends 4 points worth of damage. Well, this pirate only attacks down at the bottom of his card with a 2. So therefore, even though the Warlord got defeated and beat up, he did protect all of the tourists at the beach. So we can applaud him for his efforts. That was beautiful. However, the pirates do something else, don't they? It says the defending attraction, if it is not already damaged, it gets damaged. So let's take a look at Carmen's beach. Down at the bottom, left-hand side, she's got like 3 little fire markers, okay? Those are damage markers. So if she ever receives 2 more damage markers now, that beach is going to get destroyed, and she's going to lose that site. So, let's keep going. Alright, about time we didn't get any more monsters. Jeesh. And 1 more card. Yay! No more monsters. Okay, so here's what happens. All of our cards that we had in front of us and in our hand are going to be discarded. And we are going to draw 5 more cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5 is 5. I'm going to spend 4 gold, and I am going to buy another...
Oh, that's my favorite attraction.
This is called the Street Parade, and it does have an ability, but we'll cover the ability once we actually get to that, and when we need to mention it. So I did get myself a new attraction, which means this top pile one will go down, and now we've got another one underneath here. So however, my priest cannot get an extra heart, which means now he is going to go into my score pile, and he is worth, if you noticed on the left-hand side right above the heart, I got the little circle there, he is worth 2 victory points. And I'm going to put him in my victory point pile, which I'm going to put him right here underneath my card. All this gets discarded. We give an extra health to each one of our heroes, which means my rogue now is at full health, and he will score.
My rogue scores. He was already at full health.
And that means...
They have to be at full health.
Full health, and then yes.
Yeah.
So because my rogue scored, that was 1. Carmen's rogue scored, that's 2. That is the last monsters in the monster deck. Now what we do is we go to final scoring. And I was going to have a really good turn next turn, just so you know. Okay, so here's how final scoring works. Each one of our locations has a little diamond. We just count up the victory points on those. We count up the little diamond victory points on our heroes that scored. And then we also get 1 point for each hero that is at a location at the end of the game. So I get 2, 3. I have a whopping 7 points.
I also have 7 points.
Well, that is broken by an arm wrestling. Ready?
I am the Arbor Master. That means
No, we arm wrestle. We got to do this. Come on. We have to arm wrestle. Come on.
Oh,
ready?
Right.
Ready? Everybody, you guys say go. You guys say go. They say go! Alright, so that is Epic Resort. And before we get into our final thoughts on it, Carmen has a rules explanation that we forgot to do during play.
Yeah, we forgot to... you're supposed to exhaust your heroes. Whenever they defend against a monster attack, you're supposed to turn the card to the side. That means they're exhausted. They will not be able to defend against the next attack. In addition, they can dodge. So
Run away!
They run away to a different attraction, and then you don't have to take the hit on your hero. So we really probably should have done that during the game.
Yeah, and I don't know why we forgot about that during play. Sometimes, you know, the hard thing about doing a live filming play is that these little things fall out of your head when you're talking so much.
Right. You're trying to explain the game while playing and keep it interesting. Keep talking so you forget some of the little rules like that. But the heroes also become exhausted from dodging. So that's something else to keep in mind.
So you guys got to see how the game plays out in real time. So that'll give you a great idea on how this game works. But what do we think? I mean, come on. It's not about gameplay. It's about our valued opinion here, okay? It's all about us. Carmen, first off, why don't you explain what do you like about the game and give your final thoughts?
Well, I gotta say, I enjoy playing the game every time we play. And I really enjoy the theme and the fact that the attractions... That's my favorite, I think, is buying the attractions, because the attractions actually go along with the theme as far as what type of workers you need there, what type of bonus actions they're going to give you. And then the other thing is the way the resource management works in this game. I think it's really great for introducing people to resource management. You know, we had both of our nephews play it with us, and they caught on really fast, and I think that they would be able to play a heavier game that has more resource management now because they've gotten used to it through this game.
So overall, you like the game?
Overall, I highly recommend it. Okay,
and for me personally, I think that as much as we love deck builders, and we've played a lot of deck builders, it's like our favorite little thing, the Euros. This is a cool little interesting take on deck building, because this isn't all about deck building, but at the same time, that isn't an important aspect of the game. You know, not only are you trying to upgrade your rides and try to get the heroes, but you're trying to get the best workers possible to be able to get the job done. Let's face it, you don't have the good workers in your hands, you're not going to be able to keep the tourists, which that's another thing. I like the balance of the tourists, that less tourists means more flair, which means you're going to get heroes. More tourists means that you're going to have more gold, and you're going to be able to get the attractions. So you don't ever really feel like you're out of the game, you know, unless something tragic, catastrophic happens, which does happen sometimes. But I like that chaotic nature of this game. I love seeing people getting attacked by these monsters and having their tourists being eaten and their heroes beat up.
And that's another aspect of the game that is nice, is that it kind of checks if someone's running away. They have more heroes than anyone else, or they have more tourists than anyone else. That's who the monster's going to go for.
So all around, yeah, I think it's a great game. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think this game is going to do very well on Kickstarter. I think, you know, truthfully for me, it's a refreshing take on deck building, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily a deck builder. I wouldn't just classify it as just that.
Right.
The fantasy with the heroes, the amusement park with the deck building all together rolled into one, that's what I like about this game so much. And it just plays out so well too. So all around, yeah, I do like the game an awful lot, and we definitely appreciate you guys watching this video. And if you like what you see, click on this link right here. And that'll take you straight to the Kickstarter so that you guys can check it out for yourself. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.